just don't know how to make it. Oh, that's okay. And you can look down if you need. I thank you. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here on behalf of Friends of Animals and Connecticut's raptors and mammals under siege from powerful, long-lasting second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides, making their way up the food chain. Anticoagulants work by preventing blood from clotting. So animals are dying from internal bleeding after consuming poisoned rodents who've taken the bait from those ubiquitous black boxes you see outside grocery stores, around housing developments, and town parks, to mention a few. But no offense, I don't want to have to come back next year. I want legislation that bans the use and sale of eschars to get across the finish line in 2025. And with your help, I'm confident it will. As an organization that places wildlife and critical habitat protection at the core of its mission, Friends of Animals is sick and tired of getting videos of dying raptors from our wildlife rehabber friends, who, by the way, are our state's unsung heroes. It's heartbreaking to watch hawks, eagles, and owls hemorrhaging, convulsing, suffering a slow, agonizing death after simply eating a meal they need to survive. What's happening to us is the definition of animal cruelty, and any legislators who don't support this legislation do support indiscriminate animal cruelty. It's a slap in the face to the people on the front lines, our wildlife rehabbers, to hear legislators say things like, Connecticut's raptor populations are increasing, so therefore anticoagulants must not be having much of an impact at all. Waiting until wildlife is on the brink of extinction to protect it is just not good enough for our state. We do not want to see populations of our nation's bird, who officially now is the bald eagle, begin to decline after years of hard work to recover the populations of these amazing creatures. I'm also going to do a little bit of a legislation recap. Since legislation was introduced in 2022, thanks to Senators Cohen and Duff, and Representative Gresco, the evidence that eschars pose an unreasonable risk to wildlife continues to pile up, as you can see here. A place called Hope Birds of Prey Rehab Center in Killingworth is up to 100 completed tests, and that's at $300 a test out of her own pocket. She's up to 100 completed tests on killed birds and animals, with 77 being positive for eschars, including 4 bald eagles, an endangered barn owl, and 51 hawks. Wildlife in Crisis in Weston, which you may know of, the largest wildlife rehab center in the state, has had families of hawks and owls brought there dying from these unnecessary poisons. The director estimates that at least 100 birds of prey and 40 foxes die in her care from eschars annually, and it's just getting worse. Unfortunately, rodenticide and pesticide-ridden animals continue to come through our doors at even higher levels as time goes on, she told me last week. The most notable thing we've seen is an uptick in bald eagle poisonings as they move into suburban areas. She said the influx of new homeowners to Connecticut in recent years has added to the problem because one of the first things new homeowners do is hire a pest control company and a lawn service, and they have no clue these companies are using the most toxic poisons. The good news is that last year, a bill banning eschars passed 33-1 out of the Environment Committee and even got called on the House floor. So we have momentum. The bad news, during a debate, a lot of misinformation was spread. So the difficult decision was made to let the bill die. We never want to pass a gutted piece of legislation that wouldn't protect wildlife at all. So actually, I'm glad we have this opportunity today to address the misinformation and get everyone here thinking outside the bait box. Myth number 1, eschars are not as dangerous as first-generation anticoagulants. Truth, there is no such thing as a safe poison. The EPA determined eschars were so harmful that they pulled them from consumer shelves in 2014. However, licensed pest control companies can still use them, and there are at least 322 in Connecticut. And because of a loophole, they're still readily available on the internet to the public. But if the EPA deemed these ingredients so harmful that they can't be sold in stores like Walmart, doesn't that tell all of us that no matter who uses them, escars are extremely unsafe? Escars were actually designed to be more lethal than the first generations. They're actually known as one feeding kills because they're designed to kill a rodent in one feeding, although the process can take up to a week. And during that week, this allows the rodent to continue consuming the toxins. So you can imagine what a toll that kind of super toxic dose of escars will take on a hawk, owl, or other animal. Escars also remain in the tissues of dead animals for an extended period of time before losing potency. Guess what? They're also harmful to humans and pets. And even though we're an animal rights group, we do care about humans as well. The two are not mutually exclusive. There were 2,857 cases of human poisonings from long-acting anticoagulants in 2023, and that's according to the American Association of Poison Control Centers, and 2,025 of those involved children. In 2023, rodenticides were number 8 on the list of top 10 pet toxins nationally and number 9 in Connecticut. And more than 100 pets needlessly die each year to rodenticide exposure, according to the EPA. Myth number 2, disallowing pest management specialists to use escars will cause rodent populations to explode, as we've seen in California where they've been banned. Truth. There have been no rodent outbreaks or public health crises in California or British Columbia, and that's proof that we can protect wildlife without compromising public health. California actually put their moratorium on escars in place in 2020, and guess what? Just recently, the governor expanded it to include all blood thinning poisoning, so that means the first generation anticoagulant rodenticides as well. And British Columbia's temporary ban was made permanent in 2023. Connecticut's ban would narrowly target the worst class of poisons. Literally, it's 4 ingredients. And since I can't pronounce them, I have a slide. Yeah, there they are. Definitely can't pronounce them. Also, Connecticut DEP has confirmed there are many other proven alternatives to escars, including other poisons if necessary. Not that we're ever advocating for poisons. Remember, rodent problems stem from human behavior, poor sanitation practices, and giving rodents access to shelter. So until openings are secured, rodents will find a way in. Poisons can actually cause population explosions. Studies show that when there's a sudden die-off and reduction of a rat population by rodenticides, it's followed by a 2-fold increase in the pregnancy rate over the next couple of months because there's less competition for food and mates. In other words, better conditions for the survivors. Myth number 3. escars are the most efficient and cheapest tools in the toolbox. Sanitation and exclusion are way too expensive. Truth. If you remember one thing today, let it be that rodent problems stem from human behavior. Exclusion and sanitation are a permanent solution for rodent infestations. There won't be any new costs if exclusion is done right. And depending on the situation, you don't even have to hire someone. We actually offer a list of things to do to reduce the presence of rodents in the briefing paper in your welcome folder. So please take a look at that, and you could come visit us at our table for more information. We actually have a directory of companies in Connecticut that don't use poisons. On the contrary, escars will never solve the problem. They're counterproductive because the bait keeps attracting new rodents to a site. Pest control companies don't want to solve the problem. They want the guaranteed repeat business. They're making a mint off their contracts with homeowners. We actually talked to a Fairfield County town, and their contract averages at least $1,200 a month. Robert Corrigan, the worldwide expert on rats, is pressing people and municipalities to stop relying on poisons and instead improve the storage and management of trash at both commercial and residential properties, such as high-quality metal or heavy-duty plastic containers. What's cool is right outside the window at Bushnell Park is an example of successful integrated pest management without using anticoagulants, therefore protecting wildlife. Their four-pronged approach: improved waste management and landscaping to remove potential rat habitat, a carbon monoxide sprayer in burrows, as well as a birth control product called ContraPest. And that same product is being used in a mixed-use business district in Seattle, and they reduced the rat population by 91% in just a few months. Another myth I heard during the debate is that we're offering this solution ContraPest, but it's not available to the public, and that is true. Only qualified certified pest control companies can use it. But guess what? The company that makes ContraPest also makes a product called Evolve, and it is available to the public right now. Don't take the bait. I know this can be a heavy issue, but the uplifting news is that it's one we can do something about, and that should feel empowering. Please contact your state senators and state reps and tell them to support banning the use and sale of eschars. And please thank the ones who do. They see a lot of bills during session. I heard once that it's like 2,000 get introduced and only 200 get passed. So please thank the legislators that support this bill. And if you or someone you know has to contract with a pest control service, again, don't take the bait. Tell them you don't want eschars being used. By law, bait stations must be labeled clearly and indicate the poison being used. And again, you don't want those 4 ingredients being used. And don't forget about another line of defense: letting nature take its course. One family of owls can eat up to 3,000 rodents in one breeding season. It makes no sense for Connecticut to be killing birds of prey, who are the best defense against rodents anyway. Thank you.